I have Angel Garza is, he said he couldn't get his microphone to work, so he's going to hang up and call back, and then I'm going to start the meeting. Okay, Angel, do you want to test your microphone? Oh, there we go. Okay, Angel, do you want to test your microphone now?
I'm good.
Yep, we can hear you now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'd like to welcome everyone tonight to this special meeting of the Othello City Council and the Othello School District Board of Directors and staff. We'll call this meeting to order at 6:32 p.m. and would like to begin with a short private invocation, asking for God's blessing upon this meeting tonight, giving us all wisdom and understanding as we work to forge a partnership. And now, if you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to move to item 1D, which is our roll call. I'll start with the City Council. Tonight, I see present of the City Council, we have John Erickson with us. We have Gina Doro. We have Maria Casada and Corey Everett and Angel Garza. John Lawless and Mark Snyder both had scenarios that weren't able to allow them to attend. So we'll just note for the record that Councilman Lawless and Councilman Snyder will not be in attendance tonight. And then with the school board, I note that we have Sharon Schutte, Ken Johnson, Jen Stevenson, and is there other members of the school board present? Dr. Chris, Talia, is there any other ones? Is it just the three?
I think that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
So,
Great. Terrific. Okay, so we're going to move to item 1E, which is citizen input. Is there anyone who would like to address both either the City Council or the school board tonight with any topic of their choosing? I'll give you up to 5 minutes. Is there anyone here? Please state your name and address for the record, and you'll have that opportunity to address the boards. Is there anyone? Okay, hearing none. I'll move to approve our agenda tonight. Is there anyone who would like to make that motion?
I make that motion, Angel.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so when we have a joint board meeting like this, both City Council and the school board can make motions. They are free to vote on these items because this is a joint meeting of both boards. So just so that everyone understands what the procedure and the rules are going to be for tonight's meeting. So with that, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Paper and write on it.
Aye.
Yeah. Mike will not
Aye.
work.
Opposed?
Mike will not turn on.
I'm sorry, Ken.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Let's note for the record that Lindsay Kraus is now present. Hi, Lindsay. Do you want to test your microphone?
Working?
Yep, can hear you.
Great, thank you.
So we've gone to approve the agenda. So let's move to item 3. I want to start with some brief introductions. So what I would like to do is go around and have everybody on the call who's a member of the school, Othello School District Board of Directors, the City Council, to give a brief introduction and also just a brief comment about what you hope to accomplish with these joint meetings tonight. So I'm going to start with Lindsay, and you have maximum of 2 minutes.
Okay, my name is Lindsay Prowse. I'm on the Othello School Board. 2 things I wanted to talk tonight about. One, the PTA at Scootney Springs has asked for the city to revisit having a stop sign in front of Scootney. My own children go there, so I can vouch that it can be quite dangerous, and a stop sign is something that I'd like to discuss to see if that's a potential to put back. My main reason in wanting to form this collaboration with the city council is because I would like to work together in putting a plan together for future facilities. One of the main reasons I ran for school board was because I wanted the facilities in Othello to match or exceed some facilities I have seen in our neighboring cities. And so I just feel like a collaboration between us and the city moving forward, knowing where you guys would like to see growth, which direction we should plan for, look for land, all of that kind of stuff moving forward, instead of not being on the same page and then getting ourselves into a situation where we have land we can't use. So that's what I would like to see as a collaboration moving forward between the school district and the city council.
Very good, Lindsay. Let's move to John Erickson.
John Erickson, City Councilman, position 4 for the City of Othello. What I'd like to see out of these meetings, I think they're great to bring the 2 boards together to help. One, we have meetings on the same days, so sometimes we're not grabbing the information from each other, and then you're rushing to watch a recorded meeting late at night, and so this would be an opportunity for us to meet on our quarterly basis or whatever we set that at, and take unpressing issues and discuss them and move forward, looking in the long term. And plus, it brings, I think, almost a sense of unity on the city councils working with the school district, and especially this time, day and age, the school board is faced with several challenges, as is the city, and so it might be a chance for us to grab some information from each other on how we're overcoming hurdles and restrictions and things like that. So I think the meetings will serve their purpose and be an opportunity to exchange information.
Thank you, John. Let's go to Jen Stevenson.
My name is Jen Stevenson. I'm on the school board. I would like to really learn more about housing issues. We all know that there is housing shortages. A policy I recently proposed was to have all of our higher level, all of our administrators, directors, those that lead the district on many different formats, to live within our school district boundaries. That did recently fail with a 3-2 vote. And I think that housing, among other issues, housing shortage was a factor, a big factor in that. These are people that are leading our community with in leadership and financially, and we want to keep those tax dollars that we're paying inside our boundaries. And so that was an encouraging thing that I wanted to put forward. And I think understanding where the city is with housing and just saying that out loud to you guys as well is something that we can open dialogues and maybe figure out how to help each other out with that. So that's one of the issues I would like to learn more about and collaborate on.
Thank you, Jen. We'd like to collaborate too. Let's go to Corey Everett.
Corey Everett, I sit on the Othello City Council. I'm just going to be straightforward and blunt here. I'm very skeptical of this meeting, but I'm willing to sit here and listen and with an open mind, see what happens.
Okay. Corey, it might be helpful if you would explain why you were skeptical.
Okay, straightforward. We're two completely different entities. We have two completely different objectives. And some of the things I've heard already tonight, we're not here to help the school district make funds, make their levy. And that's what I see happening. And that's what I've already heard tonight. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm here with an open mind, more than willing to listen, see what happens.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Sharon Schutte. Sharon?
Okay, here I am. Sharon Schutte. I'm on the school board districts 2, 555 South 19th Avenue. I guess the only real question I have is I was just wondering if you could give us an update on fiber optics in Othello. I know that it's at the businesses, and I think they started building some new things up by the pool for fiber optics, but I didn't know if it was going to be anything available in the future for community members.
Okay, I think that's on our agenda, and I think we have a report from our IT director, Abner, with regard to that, Abner Garza.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll share the information that we have. Let's go next to Gina Doro.
Good evening, everyone. I think a lot of people have already touched on a lot of the issues that I see. Basically, what I hope to get from these meetings is a better and more open line of communication between the city and the school, and to be able to help each other where our issues coincide, such as housing and growth and going forward with all of that. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Thank you, Gina. Let's go to Ken Johnson, please.
Well, good evening. Is my mic working okay?
Yes.
Okay. It just keeps on flashing here, so don't tell me if it's working or not. Anyway, I just want to thank you. As you know, I've been on kind of both sides of the street. I'm now Othello, on the Othello School Board, and I've also served on the council, and I've served there for over 14 years. And Corey, I respect your position, but being on both sides of the street, I've come to see a lot where we need to work together. We all have the same citizens in the community. We all share the same things. And we need to work together on different projects so we could save our citizens money, to do things more cost effective. For example, with the help of Chief Schenk lately, he's been able to secure another grant for a school resource officer. which we will help share in the funds. It benefits both parties. And also, it's a savings to our community too. We're working together. All the tax money's the same in the community, and any place we could find to save our citizens, that is, by working together, is a great advantage. Where I would like to see it is our future growth as we as a school board start to plan our future and our facilities, that we work along with the city and in their planning department to find out good locations for us, what would work, where we could build schools and directions that the city hopes to build too. That way it all comes together and we build a beautiful community together that will work together.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ken.
Yes.
Very good. Maria Casada, are you on the call?
Hello, I am Maria Casada, City Council. Again, like Gina said, most has been said already, but what I would look for is open communication, share a vision and perspective on what we want to see accomplished for the city, the citizens, forward-thinking mentality where we are two different entities, but I think the citizens are the same and would benefit from having, both entities shooting for the same goal, which is our citizens' benefit in the end. Looking forward to seeing what we can accomplish.
Thank you, Maria. Is Mike Garza on the call?
Mike Garza.
Yes,
Mayor Logan?
Yes.
Mike Garza could not make it tonight. He informed me a little bit, probably about a half an hour ago, to let me know that he could not make it tonight.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, I'll finish up on the introductions. I'm Mayor Sean Logan. I'm actually hopeful. Jen Stevenson had approached me about these meetings and we had talked about it. What would be the use of a meeting like this? How could we both benefit from it? And I think those comments are echoed by just about everyone here on the school district board and also the city council. Corey Everett is not afraid to sit alone in his opinions. And that's why, it's important that we have differing opinions. We're not always going to agree on everything, but I think for the purposes for people to understand, we're only going to meet quarterly. And this meeting tonight is heavy on the Othello, Othello City Council and staff to present some things. And my intention would be at the next meeting that it would be heavier on the school board to kind of outline things that are going on, because we're concerned, at our level here at the city, many of the city employees have children that are in the school district. The launch of the online thing has got not just you concerned, it also has us concerned, because we've been listening to you guys for years. We've been hearing that, this K through 4 is a really important ages for these young kids to learn. And so doing this online is really hampering their ability to learn, just the logistics of getting online, being part of a some kind of a Zoom meeting, and asking kids who have parents that aren't at home go through this process. I think it's just going to be difficult on the school board. It's going to be difficult on the school district staff and administration to try and walk through all this. And hopefully, and I think we all share in this idea that maybe by the first of the year, we'll have our kids back in class, but there is no guarantees. There's a lot of uncertainty. And in times of uncertainty, you want to go back to the things that you do know, and you want to go back to the things that are simple And you need to have agreement. And so that's part of the things that the city council, while we mostly have agreement on most, 100% agreement on most issues, we don't have 100% agreement on all issues. And I know some of the issues at the school board have been somewhat divisive at different times over the years, but I want you to know that's not unusual, because people are passionate. People want certain things for their kids. They want their kids to have a good education. They want to have a good experience with the school. And so having differing opinions is going to help. And I think that as we operate in our scenario at the city, sometimes we mess up too. And sometimes we deserve some of the criticism that we get, but we're not arrogant about it. We go step back, we analyze, we evaluate, and most of the time we agree, but sometimes the criticism is unfair. And I know you guys have felt that too, but we're here to support you. We're here to build you up, and we're here to encourage you, and also to communicate with you what we're doing so that you know and have ideas. So when you see things in the community happening, you understand why we're doing what we're doing, and we want to have the same kind of relationship with you. So with that, I'm going to move into a very important part of this meeting, and that is about housing and the growth of the city. And so I'm going to turn this over to the city's Community Development Director, Ann Henning. She has a presentation for this meeting. And afterwards, Chris Doro on the Planning Commission is going to share some thoughts as well. So Ann, do you want to take charge of the meeting?
Okay, are you going to give me control of the screen so I can run my presentation?
Let's see, do you want to click on screen?
It says ask the organizer to make you presenter.
Right, so click on that. Okay, Tanya, help me out a minute.
I'm not getting the notification. If not, I can go ahead and do the presentation for you. I'm not getting any notification that you've requested to present.
Do you want to go to the presentation then?
Yes.
And then you'll just have to let her know when to change slides.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. So I was asked to prepare something about housing and growth. So let's talk about housing issues in Othello. Next slide. Okay, can we have the next slide, please? So looked up some statistics, and Othello is growing faster than the county, faster than the state, faster by far than the country as a whole. So you see that Othello in the last 10 years has grown 16%, kind of similar to Washington State, unincorporated Adams County at 14%, the rest of Adams County 9%, United States as a whole 8%. So we've seen a lot of growth just in the last 10 years. Next slide. And so in raw numbers, that's 1,151 new people since 2010. And since 2012, which is when our records go back to, there's been about 400 new dwelling units. So been hard just keeping up even with the new people added. And I understand there's a housing shortage even before then. Next slide. Next slide, please. So that leads to housing affordability issues when you have, oh, not quite that far, go back up. When you have a shortage in supply, obviously that affects the affordability. And so what the county appraiser tells me is that resales go higher than new construction because people know that there's the demand there. They can get a higher price even than the new homes are going for. And he had calculated the cost per square foot of very similar homes in the same sort of a subdivision, and it's up 27% in the last 5 years. And recently we've seen some new homes in Othello, 3-bedroom house, sell for over $500,000. So it happened on an article in Forbes about what $500,000 buys you in terms of housing in other areas of the country. So next slide. So this is Chicago. You can get a high-rise in Chicago, 2-bedroom unit, $500,000, and a fancy building. Next slide. So Los Angeles, you get a pretty small house, 888 square feet, also 3 bedrooms, not unlike a lot of houses in Othello, but that's what $500,000 will get you inside of the city of Los Angeles. Next slide. In San Diego, you can get downtown San Diego. You can get a unit in this building, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, but that's, you know, downtown San Diego, not quite Othello. Next slide. So there's one in Phoenix, 5 bedrooms, 4,000 square feet, 2 patios, pool, in Phoenix. Next slide. There's one in Houston. So that one is 6 bedrooms. You can see kind of a big lot, big house. So that's, you know, kind of what we're, obviously in those cities, people have a lot more income than people in Othello. So I thought that was a pretty interesting comparison of what's going on in the rest of the country compared to Othello. Next slide. So when you have a short supply, you have expensive housing, what happens? You get a lot of overcrowding. So the census measures the persons per household. That's what PPH is, persons per household. So in Washington State as a whole, 2.55. In Othello, almost another person per every household, 3.49 people per household in all of Othello. And the rental vacancies, less than 1%. Can hardly find a house for sale. You get a lot of substandard housing. You get illegal conversions, people, you know, converting a bedroom, putting another family in, converting a shed into a living unit. And then you also have the problem, like was mentioned earlier, that people that work at Othello can't find a place to live. So they have to commute from other areas where they can find a place to live. Next slide, please. And, you know, city is well aware of this issue. We've been working on it for a while. The Planning Commission over the last several years has been working on updating the zoning code. That was recently adopted by the council this February. We looked at just making the code easier to use, which hopefully will help attract developers to, when the codes are difficult and when a city is difficult to work with, then developers aren't going to want to work with you. And so that was one thing we wanted to address, was making the codes as simple as possible. The Planning Commission has also worked on an ordinance to allow accessory dwelling units, which would be a second unit, it's like a smaller unit behind the main house. That's an ongoing work with the council. We will continue with that. And the other thing the Planning Commission is started working on is the subdivision ordinance, which, if you think about it, mostly affects housing because it's how the lots can be divided, how the streets have to be, and that affects costs, which affects development and how much development we'll see. Next slide, please. Another thing that we are working on is that we received a grant from the Department of Commerce to hire a consultant to prepare a housing action plan for us. A housing action plan will have strategies, actions, policy tools to increase the housing supply, as well as housing affordability. And there will be a mailer going out with the utility bills. Just, I know you can't really read it here, but you'll see it in your utility bills. Just talking about the housing action plan, setting up a way for people to contribute or participate in a survey, and trying to get people as involved as possible. Next slide, please. So here on the left side, we have kind of a general schedule of that housing action plan. We're working on existing conditions, a needs analysis, a survey this fall. In the winter, we're taking more public input, we're drafting the housing action plan. In the spring, we're gonna have the community and the city review that. And then in the summer would be adopting that plan. So kind of the upcoming events are October 26th, the consultant's going to give a presentation to the city council of what they found so far. And then in October and November, that survey will be open for the community as a whole to participate in. And then by the end of November, we'll have existing conditions and needs analysis telling us, you know, kind of our baseline of where we're at. Next slide, please. So that's kind of what we're working on with housing in general. So here is a map showing what is left in the city limits as far as vacant residential land. And you can see there isn't much. There's some at the north end and a little bit at on the east, kind of the central east portion. And that's about it in the city limits, other than, you know, there's a few scattered lots here and there. So there's not a lot. Next slide, please. So here is Othello's growth area. And we have to keep in mind, Adams County is not a growth management jurisdiction. So our growth area is not as binding as it would be if we were under growth management. But it is a planning area that we have adopted. The county is on board with us. So it's our area that we look at. And so in this map, what I did, so blue is industrial, red is commercial, yellow is residential. And so that is what the city council in 2015 adopted as what they would expect to see in the growth area. So the city limits themselves are white in the middle, and then that area around is the area that we're trying to plan for. And so that black outlined areas were places that were developed. So you can see there's quite a lot of vacant land in that residential, but you have to keep in mind there are a lot of constraints, things that need to be thought about. You can't just, you know, roll up the development. It's not that easy. So one thing we need to keep in mind is where is the industrial. Oh, I'm sorry.
So you said we're not in a growth management area. Can you explain, what does that mean?
So Washington State in 1990 adopted the Growth Management Act, and that affects planning by cities and counties. And here in Adams County, it affects us less than other places. So I guess you know, you'll hear urban growth area. That's a really common term. It means something a little different to most of the state than it means to us. And so the fortunate thing is we're less constrained by that because we're a small county. We're not growing that fast relative to how things were growing in the past. So I don't know how deep into that discussion you want to get. Is that sufficient? Okay. So when we look at the constraints of developing, just kind of like off the top of my head, a few things that I came up with is the industrial lands. You know, industrial uses can tend to be dangerous, smelly, lots of traffic, not a good location for residences or schools. So that's something to keep in mind. There's the prevailing winds, which are going to go to the northeast. You don't want to be downwind of an industrial area. A lot of the property around here is developed as farmland, which, you know, there's the balance of we need to maintain farmland because we all need to eat. But also it is fairly easier to develop that than some other things, such as wetlands, which there are wetlands to the west of town Also, a lot of the agricultural property has drains in it, which doesn't make it impossible to develop, but it does present more challenge than if there weren't those drains. And then the last thing to keep in mind is Adams County has the jurisdiction outside the city limits. Adams County has the ultimate jurisdiction. So until areas are annexed, they have to abide by Adams County rules. And Adams County is actually in a process of updating all of their planning as well. I had been participating in that. We're kind of on hold now due to COVID, but they are definitely working with the city. We want to have a coordinated planning area. We don't want to have the city says one thing and the county says something else and they're not compatible. So we are working together on that. And next slide. I think, yep. That was all I had prepared as a presentation, so I'd be happy to take any questions.
I have another question, if that's okay. How do you come up with your numbers for the population and to get the 3.14 persons per house and the 1,151 people in the last 10 years?
So the population persons per household is by the US Census Bureau. And so that was based on the ACS American Community Survey. So I think that's 2014 to 2018 numbers that they had collected. And then as for the population growth, I went from the 2010 census to the 2020 projection by the state of because the State Office of Financial Management does a population projection each year for counties and then for cities. And so that is their 2020 projection minus the 2010 census.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
I have a question. So you said in your presentation that you guys are working on a subdivision type program, whatever, in order to increase housing. Do you see the growth in Othello? I couldn't see because the screen is so small what direction was north, south, east, and west on your map. Are you thinking that the majority of the growth is going to be to the south, or do you guys have something in mind? I know to the north, where we currently own land, is going to be industrial, so I'm guessing that's where all of the blue was.
Correct.
On your map. Okay, so then it looks like, yeah, a lot of stuff going to the south. Where is Highway 17 in conjunction to your map? Is that kind of where everything ends, where there's no more color?
The boundary between the color and the white, so up the right side of the screen.
Yeah.
So that's Highway 17.
Okay, perfect. Do you guys have any plans to help developers or somebody looking to build south of 26? Are there any plans for you guys to extend any of your utilities south of 26? And are there any plans for some sort of better roadway between Reynolds Road and 14th and 26th, where those all meet? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a difficult problem because it is outside the city. So Highway 26 is Department of Transportation jurisdiction. They have definitely looked at that corridor. They had some ideas of things that are needed. They're working through them. Of course, it just takes a lot of money to get that all done. And then as far as utilities, again, comes down to money. The city can't just extend utilities, put all the money into utilities. It has to be developer driven, or at least a partnership with a developer to accommodate those costs.
Okay.
Hey.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, this is Angel. Hey, so east, if we go south of 26, you guys have to keep in mind that we're dealing with a state highway. And if we were to start building that direction, there's going to be a lot of regulations to meet. I don't know, overpasses, roundabouts. whatever it's gonna take, depending on the growth, if we go that way. That's one. Another one is the infrastructure going that way. I mean, I don't think we're even close. If we start between Reynolds and Broadway, I don't think we're even close of taking any infrastructure that direction. So like Ann said, that's going to take quite a bit of money to develop. For your guys' information, the street that we just finished, which is Adams Road, we went deep enough to go under the canal to service the 800 acres that AJ has just east of the canal there. So it's not completely finished because it only goes to 4th. The houses I'm building now will flow into 4th, the sewer will anyway. So in order to get enough capacity to bring the houses in from east of the canal, we'd have to finish from 4th to Broadway on Olympia Street. So that would be the cheapest route, you know, for growth. We're not crossing any highways, any you know, major highways. We are going to deal with traffic control, you know, as you go along, because of course, you're going to be putting more traffic into the roads. We're getting the traffic analysis as we speak right now, just on the development on the houses that I'm building right now. So you know, there's a lot of work to be done. But my opinion, you know, I've talked to the mayor and I've talked to Sean about this. As far as growing Othello, we always have to keep in mind that, like Sean said, we don't have the money to put out there. If we were to go south of 26, we're talking millions of dollars. And if the city's not going to put them in, if me as a developer, I'm not going to go in there and spend $3-4 million before I stick a shovel in my ground. Period. It's not going to happen. That's where we're at in Othello right now, just so you guys don't know. So we have to look for the shortest routes cost-wise and to keep growth going. You know, Jan said she's concerned about housing and just gave us her opinion, you know, on what, or what she just explained to us. So if we go east to the canal, yeah, there's things to do. Are we going to need a bridge going over Olympia? Yeah, you need another means of access. So that's going to have to be done. But when we do that kind of stuff, then if the school, I'm just using you guys, if the school were to build there, if a developer were to go in there, then the cost is shared. So what I'm trying to say right now is I've done a lot of research in Othello. I'm also buying in Quincy and I'm buying in Moses Lake. So Othello, guys, you know, is a tough area right now because there's not a lot of money that we can put out and just, hey, let's go ahead and put the sewer out there, put the water out there, put storm sewer. There's no money there for us to get it done. So what we have to look, you know, for the closest routes. And we have the route that we got right now for sewer down Adams Road. Once again, all we have to do is connect from 4th to Broadway, and we're good to go for 800 acres. That's going to give us commercial on the south frontage of north of Main Street. That's also going to give us light industrial south of Lee Road, and you know, whatever we can do in between, housing, schools, whatever the need is. So I just wanted to give you guys that information and kind of go ahead.
Angel, I don't think any of us know, I'm sorry. I don't know where Adams Road is. Can someone, if you know where that's at, can someone point to where that's at? Because most of you keep referencing Adams Road, but
do you know where Olympia Road is?
Where what?
Olympia Street.
Yes.
Okay, so if you're on 14, you're going north on 14. You pass a hospital. That's that new development on the left-hand side that's going up. That last street that we just put in, that's Adams Road.
You're saying that's the first road in your Sand Hill Estates.
Exactly, Mount Adams. Sorry, that's the first street.
Okay, so what you're referring to is that does it say 363 acres of yellow that's across from?
No, that's AJ's right there. That's east of the canal, that yellow that you see right there. So if you go
Okay, so
just,
to when you keep saying the sewer and all of, can someone point to that? Whoever has control of the screen where he's referring to, that he keeps
Can you do
referring
that?
to?
Tanya, do you have access, or can you hand that over to me?
Let me stop sharing my screen. Can you share your screen?
Who's the organizer on this meeting?
It shows both you and I are.
I know, and I click on it and it won't let me do anything. Just a minute. No, because I think it's because I didn't sign in as anyways. What I want you to do is go share your screen again.
Okay.
so the area I'm talking about, Jen, is real easy. So if you see Lee Road, and then you go south to Cunningham Road, whatever's in between Lee Road, Cunningham, 14th, and Highway 17. That big area right there is what I'm talking about. You see it in yellow, and there's a light blue spot to the right of your screen. That's light industrial. Whatever you see that's blue and light above that yellow square.
So you're referring to all the light industrial area you're saying is the best place for growth? Is that what you're saying? Is what you're...
No, the 353 acres is not light industrial. That could be for commercial in front of Main Street, and that could be R1, R2, R3, R4, whatever they decide to do with that ground. Right there where that arrow's at. So take that arrow up a little bit. That right there will be light industrial. So right above that arrow is Lee Road. You'll see where it says Lee Road. It's kind of hard to see. Right there, that's Lee Road right there. So that light area right there what she's showing, that's going to be all light industrial for the future growth. So if you come down over here again to the 353 acres, okay, bring that arrow, line it up with Olympia. Is that you, Ann?
I think it's Tanya.
Tanya, line it up, go to your left, go up a little bit, down, right there. No, you just went past, right there. That's Olympia Street. So the next street up is Mount Adams. So if you can picture Mount Adams, we have a sewer that's already from there, take it all the way to 7th, over here, that arrow.
To
7th Street.
To the
right there.
Right there.
Okay, so we have the sewer through Mount Adams, and then if you keep continuing to the left, I'll stop you right there. Say that's 4th. So we have service for sewer all the way from Reynolds Road, which is 14th, all the way to where the arrow is at right now. It's already deep enough to bring flow from that east of the canal, which is AJ's. Okay. So all we'd have to do is from where the arrow's at, take it to the left where that line's at, that purple red line right there. All we'd have to do is connect that area right there, because Broadway has, I think it's a 12-inch sewer line. So that we already have enough capacity down Mount Adams, down Olympia Street. If we connect that small piece right there, then we're good to go east of the canal for another 500, 600, 700 homes. We're good to go for commercial buildings. We're even good to go for that light industrial that's going to be developed in the future. So what I'm saying by all this, that's all I do. That's all I do. That's all I live for. That's what I do. So you're always looking, and you might say, yeah, it's in your best interest. That's what I do for a living, okay? But at the same time, I've been in Othello all my life, and I've always cared for Othello deeply. And as a councilman, I see I see what we can do and what we can't do, with our, financially wise. So by putting this sewer deep, that just gave us access to east of the canal for growth. So let me add a little bit to what I'm saying, since it's a school board meeting. So when the school bought half of that circle from AJ, I bought the south half. So that north half of the circle, just so the school will know, every now and then when I meet a board member, I talk to them and I say, are you guys going to do anything with that circle? Are you going to trade AJ, or what are you guys going to do? My opinion and my advice would be to work hard to see if you can trade AJ because of this. Now that half a circle is not only for R1, R2, R3, or R4. Now you have light industrial. Who's going to want light industrial right now? Tell me who's came in the recent years. I mean, go back 10 years. Who's put in a business, that's light industrial in town? So it'd be for the benefit of the school district to see if you can trade property. If not, you're going to get stuck with that property for the longest time. Now, all that half circle is not light industrial. I think it's only half of it. I'm not too sure, Ann. You show half of it right here. I think that's a little bit too much. But even if that 80 acres, even if 40 of those would be light industrial, that's okay. That's Leroy. That is needed there. And then the other 40 acres you can sell as R1, R2, R3, R4. Sell it for residential. So just so just so you can know, I mean, I live for this. I wake up with it. And I've talked to the mayor. Mayor can vouch for me. I've talked to him quite a bit about this. Now, do you guys have any other direction that I don't know about that's better? I don't know.
So, Angel, thank you. That is actually college level in Othello education on development. I think as the mayor, I think I share a lot of the same opinions you do. I want to see the city grow too. But there's a lot to development. There's a lot of information. There's a lot to know about it. And it doesn't just happen on its own. There has to be money behind it. And so having said that, I don't think you guys need to hear me, but I think what I'd like to do is turn it over to Chris Doro. He's going to follow up on some of the things about what Ann's presentation was, and offer some opinions too about the growth of Othello. Chris?
Well, thank you to both boards for having this opportunity. And my name is Chris Doro. I am a member of the Othello Planning Commission. I don't know how many other planning commissioners made it on the conference call tonight, but our chair is Roger Enns, and he is also a great speaker, but I always seem to get roped into these presentations because I guess I'm pretty good on my feet for doing it. So, and if it is at all possible, if you could put the big picture that you just had of growth development, because I think I would like the opportunity of speaking to both the school board and city council, and why this is important to us is because whatever the school board decides to do in future development is going to have dramatic impacts on our city. But there are big areas that we also have to consider and we have to think about for the good of the city. The lifeblood of our city is our heavy industrial. While the rest of the county is shrinking and diminishing, we are growing, as Ann described, at a 16% rate. And why we're growing the way we're growing is because, number one, we're a very attractive community. But number two, our heavy industry drives a lot of what we're doing. And our heavy industry is then supported by other industries that are light industries and that are additional industries, as well as provides our housing. So from a conceptual standpoint, you saw some areas that were put on a previous map where there was this dark blue area and a light blue area. And I want you all to understand that it became evident to us in city planning that protecting those areas, allowing for those areas to grow, allowing for the abilities for places like McCain's to expand and for other large industries to come in to that area on Lee Road, where there is a massive amount of infrastructure in place for that growth, gives Othello the ability to be even bigger yet. You know, when Corey and I were going to high school together, it was a 4,000 person town, and we thought this is as big as it was going to get. And here we are on the brink of being 10,000 and dealing with these management situations and circumstances. As Angel was able to highlight, there is a lot of concern with the amount of housing that we have and the amount of areas we can grow into. And that's significant. We looked at a lot of different things for rezoning and creating new opportunities, but we're still somewhat landlocked. Now, where I see as a city planner, and where it's so important to have the input from the school board is your all's future plans in facilities, because what you do in facilities is going to help drive growth in Othello. Where you may put a new school, we want to be careful about locking out growth that we need, like we said, how important our industry was, but creating opportunity for growth in certain areas with others. People like to live by schools. And where you all build a school and where we can all work together to make that happen, it help open a lot of opportunity for growth for both residential, for light industrial, and industrial growth in Othello. So we can grow even bigger yet. It's a great opportunity, but we need communication between all of us, and we need an understanding of how Othello is planned and how Othello is done. And I myself want to give a big kudos to working with Ann Henning. She is fantastic. She is great. She is extremely knowledgeable. And to you, the school board, I highly recommend using Ann as much as possible as a resource we use for future building and for future planning. I think she is a gem for us, and she really helped us drive a lot of the work that we did in the rezoning and the future work that we do. And if you could go back to the previous the Adams County growth. You can see what we just had kind of shows where everything is kind of closed in a little bit. We don't have a lot of opportunity, and Angel highlighted that. But if we could go back one slide to the Adams County growth. Oh no, I put the mojo on it, it looks like.
Chris, this is Tanya. I just gave the presenter rights to Ann. And can you let me know if that's working?
Uh-huh.
Says it's loading.
What's happening?
It says it's loading.
Oh, it says it's loading. But well, I guess while it's loading, that's fantastic. There we go. Some of the questions you all asked about Highway 26 and the growth on the other side of it. It is important to know that we do have utilities up to that area. And so there is the opportunity to grow on the other side of 26. But as you can see also, there's areas to grow to the northeast as well within our growth area constraints. And again, if you look for places for future schools and where that growth could be, the school board, in conjunction with the city, can really work in conjunction to have real positive growth and open up opportunity in Othello. And we want to be part of that. And it's something we look at in our planning and some of the things we look for in our growth. It's getting bigger. Yay. So, I mean, you can see some of the areas that should probably obviously jump out at you would, like I said, be the northeast corner, which is in yellow and blue, which is kind of an area that Angel was talking about somewhat in before. There's some constraints and some restrictions there, but there's also great opportunity for growth in that area, just as there is great opportunity to the south of Highway 26. And like I said, we've got space, we've got areas, but it'll take some vision and some planning to get these things done. There is opportunity there. So hopefully I've kind of explained kind of the 10,000 foot view of city planning as far as protecting industrial, protecting light industrial, but creating residential opportunities as well. And if I've blown anything, Ann, please let me know.
My question is, since you said south of 26, my question would be for Ann. So you said there is, and I know there's going down, what's that street? Right in front of the clinic, Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
I know we got that sewer there. So would the sewer be connected? Is there enough capacity going down through their end? Well, that's probably a Terry question though.
Yeah, sorry, I can't answer that one.
Yeah, I figured that one out. Yeah, because that would be the shortest route to go and the cheapest one. But if you have to go down to Broadway, you don't have nothing up, not even close to there. But that's something to look at. I mean, it's all numbers.
Well, I think the big thing too is as I said, you know, having more communications about philosophy. What we're trying to do is, I think, going to put the school district in a better position for their future building plans, so we can all work together to really make things, you know, work well, and allow for lots of opportunities and lots of growth in Othello.
Yeah, Dr. Doro, and I like that as well. You know, in my opinion is when, you know, this meeting is awesome because we're sharing information. Here, a few of you are gonna close your screen. Now you're gonna know that there's a sewer going down Mount Adams that probably, you know, that can connect to Broadway. That's good. I don't know, but that's good information for our city.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then and what you just said on south of 26, I like when the in my opinion, getting the school board and council and sharing information, that's a win-win situation. That's the way you grow, period. I like it.
I think we lost Sean.
John, you're on mute.
Sorry. Yep. Sorry, I think this has been really good information. I'm really enjoying this. I think for the school board, you're beginning to see how these pieces come together for development. And what you're seeing here is the growth of this city. We have the opportunity to, I think as Chris put it, you know, what the school district does with regard to locating its schools is going to have a tremendous impact on where the direction of this community grows. And so working together is really, I mean, it's exciting. And this is the kind of stuff I'm really into. When I was first involved 30 years ago in things like this, it used to bore me to death. But that was probably because there wasn't much going on at the time. And now you have a planning commission that has really been aggressive, thanks to Ann and also the planning commissioners, in looking at growth. The city council has been very proactive in working with the planning commission, working with Ann, and working with developers in the growth. We've worked with the school district on a number of issues, and we want to work with the school district on a lot more growth issues. So I think this is a good jump off point. I'd like to continue on in our agenda. So I'd like to move to Phil Shank on item 3C, the school resource officer.
Hey, Sean.
Yes, Chris.
Hey, one quick comment, and this is for the school board's knowledge. I wish I would have mentioned it earlier. Just so you all understand from where we're at on the city planning commission, we often talk about future school growth because we know it's going to impact a lot of areas of Othello. And we've even talked about locations where we would like to see the school consider building.
Okay, Chris, you're freezing on us. Okay, we'll come back
In the future. So, I mean, this is not,
yeah.
We've been talking about, for the good of Othello, for the good of how this gets to you to hear on the system for a while, let them know. So feel free to contact Ann and contact us at the planning commission so we can work together for the good of Othello. That's what we all want.
Chris, I think you have valid comments because we have talked to Ann, and I think that you're right. I think that we need to talk to Terry. I think we need to come and talk to Planning Commission. And those are some parts that we haven't hit on yet that I think that will be beneficial to us to even just spitball and start talking about a whole bunch of other ideas just so we have lots of options and then can start exploring those options and then narrowing them down. Thank you. That's a great comment.
Thank you, Jen. Let's move forward on our agenda now to item 3C, which is school resource officer. As was mentioned earlier by Ken Johnson that there is a grant that has been received to hire a second school resource officer. And Phil, you're going to fill in everybody on the details of that.
Yes, Mayor and Council, Dr. Hurst and School Board, thank you for the time today. I think you can all hear me well because my little light's lit up and everybody's nodding their heads, so that's a good sign. We've had a contract with the school district to provide one school resource officer with shared costs since I believe about 2014, so going on 6 years. We think it's a good program. It's improved safety. When Dr. Hurst came, the district put a lot of effort and attention into school safety. There's a school safety director. We have the security guards. We've continued with the SRO. We've done vulnerability assessments. Ken Johnson actually suggested at the time a resource that turned out to be a very good resource as we did the vulnerability assessments. One of the things or the reoccurring themes that we've heard is everybody has wanted both sides and teachers, students to put an additional school resource officer in the schools. We haven't had the capacity or the finances to do it. And we've been watching for grants to come available, I think probably since we started this 6 years ago. The grant came open, we applied for it, and currently, we were awarded the grant. We put together an MOU, and that's one of the requirements with the grant was the MOU with the school district. Now, this grant is a 3-year grant with a fourth, and it basically pays $125,000 for the 3 years. And the fourth year is a full retention. After that, we've met the grant requirements. So it's got the fourth year full cost. Now we've put together the costs, and I wanted to point out the 50-50 split that we've done, for the last 6 years. That's just salary. That doesn't include vehicle costs, the technology costs, the training costs that we do, the overtime costs. So there are other costs on the school side. Now, when we put this SRO grant together, the intent was to present it to the district and to the city, with the district picking up the match or what wasn't covered for the first 3 years, and then the full cost on the fourth year. The district responded back. We've rolled that into the MOU. And at this point, what we're proposing, and this is the first time that the city council members would hear this, we're going to put this MOU on the next city council meeting and explain it in greater detail to our city council members. So I apologize, but this is a great opportunity for everybody to hear it at the same time. With this, the district did come back saying they wanted us to share the fourth year cost, but they also agreed that they would split the extras, which are the vehicle costs, the training costs, uniform costs, overtime cost. So what that ends up being is about $63,671 a year to the district, and that's basically what our cost would be on the fourth year too. So that is what we're presenting as a flat fee for the 4 years to the school district. That does make budgeting easier, I understand. Of about 63.5. That'll provide a second SRO. Now that is, and I'll point out, that is paying for an entry-level position. That is not what we're going to assign to the school district. Putting a first-year officer in the school district, I think, would be a mistake for everybody, and we would regret that. We will be using the grant to pay for the backfill of the officer that we will be assigning, and we'll be assigning with the school district's approval as we select who this officer is. And I'll point out, it's not something we can just say, hey, you're going to be the new SRO. We want somebody that's got an affinity for kids, and wants to do a good job. Now, with this, we think primarily it's going to be one assigned to the high school, one assigned to the middle school. Those are the highest need schools, but they will continue to respond to and assist the other schools as necessary. I'd very much like to see DARE back in our schools. This is also an opportunity for us to put DARE back in our schools. The new DARE program looks a whole lot better than the old DARE program. I can stand behind it. So at this point, I'd open up to any questions that board or city have.
Okay.
What does DARE stand for? I mean, I know what DARE is, but what does it stand for?
Drug Awareness and Resistance Education. So basically, the mistake the old DARE program did is it taught our young kids what drugs were available to them. And in inner city, or in large cities, they already knew what drugs were available to them. The problem was in small towns like ours, the kids didn't know as much. So they found that they actually increased drug use. The new program's much more pro-social focused. It's designed to actually help the kids say no better.
And then the other question is, your suggestion is an SRO placed at Othello High, an SRO placed at McFarland Middle, and then they kind of split the other 5 campuses. Is that correct?
Correct. That would be their primary assignments, would be like that, yes.
And then it sounds like you have a specific person in mind that you've been building and discussing this with, and without officially offering anything because it's not available yet. Is that correct? I don't want you to tell anybody who it is, but is that correct?
Once we know that we're moving forward and we have MOUs signed, I will advertise it within my department because it isn't a specialty position. They do receive a little extra pay for doing it. So I actually will advertise it, let my officers apply for the position, and I will bring to the district the choices as well as what my opinion is, and we'll work with the district and the administration of the police department to find the absolute best officer we can place in the schools.
Okay, so there's a little bit of our input as well as what you're saying.
No, there's a whole lot of your input.
Thank you for clarifying that. Perfect. Okay, that sounds great.
Any other questions? Thank you, Phil.
I could talk about sewer lines for the next 45 minutes if you'd like, sir.
Please, please.
I know there's fascinating subject, but shall we crack on? Let's move to item 3D, which is fiber optics. And we have with us our Abner Garza that was going to, our IT director. Abner, are you still on the call? Abner? Okay. Abner's not on the call. So I know, I'll just give you some general information, and this is going to go before the city council on Monday. The city council is going to look at a contract with Knoll, the old Knoll Communications, which is now Wholesale. They currently provide fiber optic services to both Public Works building, and we're looking at having that here at City Hall. In addition to that, iFiber is our current provider, and iFiber operates a number of on a number of towers, water towers in Othello for wireless service, but to this point they've been unwilling to make investments to upgrade. They're paying the city a very small amount. We've been in a contract with them since 2001, and we've been reviewing that contract, and we're looking at possibly terminating that agreement with them, and or at least giving them notice, and then advertising for bids so that we can get a excellent first-class wireless service on our towers and offset that cost for the new service lines that we're going to put in. So I know that's just one of the things that we're working on. If Abner was here, he'd give you more details, but that's kind of the wrap up on that. Is there any questions about that?
I just would like to share a little bit of information. Because of one of our policies, we know how many students within our school district have internet, that before we gave out hotspots for our current mode of education, only about 2/3 of our students have internet in their homes. 1/3 of all students, and we have 4,400 and basically 4,500 students within the school district. Only 2/3 of those have internet currently in their homes. And so I'm technologically challenged. So does fiber mean that faster, better for everyone, or does that mean faster, better for those that are willing to pay for it?
Excellent question. We haven't developed it to that point yet. I mean, there is a cost, and at some level, the city council would have to decide if they want to bear that cost. I think that there would be some interest in taking a look at it, but of course, they're going to want to see a number. And I think that there might be something that maybe the school district and the city could take a look at the cost, depending on how much bandwidth, how many new subscribers could you add to the mix. There's a lot of details that we're still preliminary. So that's honestly, we hear the complaints at the city level regularly about we don't have fast internet available in the community, and there's some areas that have better service than others, but nevertheless, we don't have universal. And the school district, I'm sure, would be very interested in some form of a universal high-speed internet that kids could utilize for their homework, for this hopefully temporary situation of online learning, and eventually the kids will get back in school, but that's still not going to diminish the need for homework and other and you know, and recreation and enjoyment of their internet service. So those are things, they all cost money, Jen, because I'm going to, you know, it's what I say, that I mean, everything costs money, and it's just a matter of how much do we want it and where are we going to put the priorities. One of the things that we've been very successful at the city at doing is when we don't have the money, then we go about the process of finding the money. And that means that we have to, a lot of times, if you're going to get funded on any project, you have to perform some kind of a study. And that study has to have conclusions, and it has to have data in it. And all of that takes time to compile. That's not something that we have currently the capacity is in staff to do in-house, so we have to hire a consultant. They help us get to that point. We then go to the particular program, either at the state or to our legislators. And I know that there's programs that they have, but they're not really, I mean, if they'll give you 100,000, that's, you know, that's a great idea, but that's not enough money to actually set up a real first-class system for the city of Othello. So do you do a partial? Do you take baby steps and move forward? Those are the things that, I mean, that's just a little bit more of a higher level picture of what it takes to put this together. And if we speak as one voice in Olympia, the school district, and the city of Othello with regard to issues like that, we can make an impact, and we might be able to get appropriations, and we might be able to find different departments that are responsible that have money in their budget. Although, I mean, you're going to hear going over to Olympia this year about how there's no money, and in a lot of ways there isn't going to be money, and these school districts are going to get a haircut along with the rest of the people. So there's going to be a challenge going forward, but that has got to be our goal, to have universal access to the internet. So that's kind of the end of my knowledge about it and what we need to do and begin to tackle. So does anybody else have any comments about that?
You know, Sean, I think this might be the perfect year because of the COVID situation and school districts throughout Eastern Washington having to go on to online education. That I think if we work together, we have a wonderful representative in Mary Dye, who has been pushing for rural broadband internet throughout rural areas in Eastern Washington. And I think this is the year that we need to team up and show them how important it is to get this going a little bit quicker or put more emphasis on it because of the need. We're in the perfect situation now where we need it. Unfortunately, it may come too late, but hopefully we could have our kids back in sooner before it gets here. But you never know when situations like this could reoccur. So I think this is the perfect and prime time to start working together to start pushing it.
Thank you, Ken. I agree.
Mayor, I just want to clarify that I share those numbers not to say that we're expecting the city to come up with any kind of numbers or costs or any of those kinds of things. It's more of to share information and to share our numbers so that you're aware of our numbers as well. And we all know that it's not just students at home, online education, it's telecommuters, it brings in business, it brings in so many different things that benefits our community. And so I just wanted to be clear that I'm not saying we want the city to bear the cost, just finding out some more information and clarifying some of those things. So.
And one of the things, Jen, this is John Erickson, and I understood your question as to whether or not if fiber was brought in, does everybody that has internet in the household automatically get faster speeds? And that's the way I understood it. And the answer to that is no. Fiber optics is a data transfer medium and it's just a way to transfer data in a faster a faster means. And so to gain access to those faster speeds, like the mayor had pointed out, it does cost additional funds. And typically it is a little more expensive than the typical wireless medium or internet service provider, or even the cable DSL providers, because they do offer a little bit more. They're just it seems to be a better service. So yeah, fiber coming into the city doesn't mean everybody's going to have high speed unless everybody subscribes to the ISP or the internet service provider that has the fiber in the city.
Thank you, John. Is there any other comments or questions?
No, let this die.
I have a question, but I can't get my microphone to work.
We can hear you.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, my thing says it's muted. So John, does that mean that you have to run new wire, or can fiber be used with the existing wire? You just have to pay like a higher subscription fee?
No, fiber is an actual, it's an actual completely different cabling system. And so you typically see the orange conduit on spools and boring machines on the side of the road. They're installing a fiber. So yeah, it's a complete new infrastructure to be brought in.
Okay.
And my understanding is we have actually fiber within the city in several key locations. It's just finding a provider who is willing to come in and put the cost into providing the infrastructure that can distribute it out to our residences or our businesses too.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So what I'd like to do, like a good project manager does, is he sets the next meeting date. So we talked about quarterly meetings. 3 months from now would be in December. You guys want to meet on a Tuesday night this time on December 8th? And we'll set that as our next meeting date. Yes, no?
That works for me.
I'm good with it.
That sounds good for me too.
That doesn't work for me. I'm a member of the beta groups in town, and they typically meet on the second and fourth Tuesdays.
Okay.
Is my microphone working?
It's still working, Lindsay.
Okay. I will be out of town on the 8th, but
what about the 9th?
Jen and Jen, I'll actually be in Disney World with my kids that entire week, so
you're out.
So I'm out.
I'm not going to go any closer to Christmas because there's too much stuff going on after that. So we're going to do it either on the 8th or the 9th.
The 9th works for me because it's Wednesday.
Okay.
That's fine for me.
All right. And
that'll work for me too.
I'd like some direction from the school board as to who you want me to work with to help develop the next agenda.
I'd be happy to be that person and then report back to the rest of the school board and the district, just so that we have a specific point person. I think makes the most sense.
Okay. Is that fine with everyone else?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think what I'll do is I'll promise to do a state of the city, because that'll be near the end of the year. We'll have gone through the rest of, our budget. We'll probably adopt our budget the day before or 2 days before on that Monday. And so I'll be able to speak better to the financial issues of the city. where we are for 2020 and also going forward into 2021 and what we're looking at, some of the highlights of what we're budgeting and what we're looking at doing. One of the things we are doing, however, is you guys have seen on Facebook that we are applying for $1 million grants for $1 million playground at Lions Park for kids from cages 2 to 12, and 2 to 5 and 5 to 12 age groups. That we're successful in that grant. I mean, that is an extreme great game changer for this community. The other thing we've applied for is a 4-court outdoor basketball setup at Lions Park. One of the things that the city is doing to address some of the issues in Othello is that in studying and preparing for these presentations, I've been aware of some data that I guess wasn't immediately apparent, but 33% of the population of the city of Othello is under the age of 14. Of that population, 35% are in poverty. So we have a large youth population in this community. The statewide average, we're about double the statewide average with regard to youth. So we're a community that is a community of color. We're about double, more than double the statewide average. We're also, we have a high poverty level, and we have a lot of kids. And so the city recognizes that we want to build and provide facilities that these kids can enjoy. And one of the things is there'd be 21 trees around that playground, and right now we don't have a single one. I mean, you sit out there and burn in the middle of the summer, and we have the city council has worked together with me on putting together a capital facilities plan for Lions Park, and we have plans for amphitheater and more facilities like a small splash park and other things. And we've just spent approximately $500,000 on the baseball fields and to upgrade those so that they can be ready for championship type tournaments. So all of those are things that youth do, and we're trying to make it attractive for people to be here, to come here. And those are the things that the city is working on. Do we have the money to go spend $1 million on a playground? No, but that doesn't stop us because we have hired the consultants. We've done our homework. We're bringing it against all the other communities in this, including, the larger communities in the state of Washington. There's, I think, 85 other communities that are applying for the same dollars we are. But I can tell you what, we have put together a great presentation. We have a compelling message of a third of our population is age 14 and under, and a third of that population is in poverty. We're trying to put something together that's free, that they can come, they can enjoy, and with the youth basketball courts, we would be the first 4-court outdoor basketball courts in one location. I know Othello's been a large wrestling community, but with that type of facility, we could become a basketball community too. And I know that Lindsay's dad would be very pleased with that. I used to watch him play high school basketball, but we got a park and rec department that is excited about these changes, excited about putting together leagues and organizing these type of activities. So I'm just telling you that this town is prepared to grow, and your city council is moving things forward to prepare for that growth. And we're excited to work with you because, I mean, if you think about the school and locating a school somewhere, well, all of a sudden now developers living next to an elementary school is a I mean, that's a choice location to build a home and a place to live. And so that's why you guys are critical to this collaboration with the cities, because as we work together, we can multiply our effectiveness. So I think I've said enough tonight, and this meeting is going on.
Hey, this is Angel. Can I add something here real quick?
Sure.
So I just want to let you guys know. So we are landlocked here in the next few years. We probably have another, we brag about how many houses we're building in Othello, but this is very important what I'm going to say. We have enough for another 180 homes, 3 more phases, plus what Olson is doing right now. So after that, we do not have infrastructure to go anywhere else. I think that's very important to mention. So just thought I'd let you guys know. So we need to start doing something like yesterday so we can be ready here in the next 4 or 5 years, you know, if we continue to grow. That's it.
Thank you, Angel.
Angel, is my mute button working? It's just blinking, so I don't know if it's working or not.
We can hear you, Lindsay.
Okay, Angel, the homes that you mentioned that are being built, does that include potential homes that could go where AJ Ochoa's land is, or that's just current under construction right now? That's not future growth.
Well, what we have right now, we have 3 phases left. Each phase consists of 60 lots. We just developed 60 lots, just finished it here a few months ago, and we got like 45, 50 pre-sold.
When you say we, do you mean your own personal construction company, or do you mean the city?
No, my construction company, my development, I should say. So we developed 60 lots. We pretty much got 50 pre-sold already. So I want to add to this too, because Mr. Doro was saying, you know, we are growing fast. We have to put all these numbers together. When you have interest rate that's 2.2, 2.4 for people that have good, what's the word? I lost it.
Mortgage rates.
Interest rate that can qualify. You know, you can get under $1,200 a month. So people are buying homes right now, left and right. There's going to be a little bit more availability for rentals, of course. That's a good thing. But what I'm saying right now, and it's very important because I keep saying, you know, I keep mentioning that, because if this were to continue for the next 2-3 years at 60 lots a year, we'll be out of lots in 3 years. So we're talking about growth here. That's why I mentioned this, right? We're talking about housing, right? That's why I'm mentioning this. So if we don't get to work now and figure out what direction we're going, we're going to go from 70, 80 homes a year to 0. Got nowhere to go. And yes, I mentioned sewer. The reason I mention it, because that's very important to mention it, because there is capacity east of the canal. That's infrastructure is put in already that AJ paid for, not the city. AJ paid for that. And then whenever we go from 4th to Broadway, there's another $1 million there that need to be spent. Who's going to spend those? You know, so I'm saying with another $1 million, we can actually feed from east of the canal. And yes, Lindsay, we'll have for another 400 or 500 homes. We'll have availability for sewer for the light industrial. We don't have anything right now for light industrial. We won't, I don't know if we even got the capacity going down Main Street, because I talked to Terry quite a bit, for commercial buildings on Main Street, which is south of north of Walmart, for that property that's there. If we were to develop that and bring commercial buildings there, I don't even know if we could go down, you know, if we have enough capacity for sewer. So there's a lot of things that's what I do for a living here in town. Like I said, once again, I mean, I live for it, and I ask a lot of questions, and that's why I say it's very important to kind of, and the reason sometimes I kind of hesitate to speak, because it seems that it's also my benefit, and I don't want it to look that way. I just want to let you know that I was born in Portland, and I moved here shortly. I've been here in Othello 58 years. I lived in Little Mexico. Every time I walked up across them tracks, I would always think, how can we make Othello better? As a kid, and now it's happening. So I'm always thinking, how can we grow Othello? Well, I moved to Tri-Cities. No, I love Othello. Do I want Othello to grow? Yes, I want Othello to grow. You know, there's a lot of people that have good paying jobs, guys, that can actually afford a good home. You guys showed you the numbers.
Yeah.
You know, with Palos Verdes, we happen to bring, our superintendents probably still on the line here. You know, we brought vice principals, we brought nurses from Yakima. Mayor and I talked about it before we developed it. So we kept a lot of people in town that would have gone to Moses Lake. That's why Othello's growing. So for us to keep this trend going, we have to think ahead of the game. And my job is to think of infrastructure. And I share that with Terry. I share that with the mayor. I share that with Sean. I share whenever I get together with him. That's what I talk about, because I do not want to get 2-3 years down the line and say, no housing in Othello, nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, Angel. All right, so we've set the next meeting for Wednesday night, December 9th at 6:30 p.m. I'll work with Jen on developing the agenda. And I want to thank everyone who participated or was on the call. I hope there was some good information that was shared, and I certainly learned some things, and I look forward to meeting again here in 3 months. So thank you very much, and I'll conclude tonight's meeting at 8:12 p.m.
Thank you.